Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. When I started doing this deconstruction of the movie, Netflix movie, White Noise, I had no idea it was going to take me a week and a half to put the whole thing together so that it would be not only a precise analysis, but an exciting one too. So I humbly beseech you, watch the entire video. Trust, is absolutely just riveting all the way to the end, just based on what they did, and then I just bring it for Black Us. And like, comment. Your comments are precious to me. Subscribe and share, because we are the only rescue coming, and when you understand, we're the only rescue we need. Peace. Whoa, okay, I watched this film. I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible. But I watched this film on Netflix. I usually avoid all movies with white people in them, especially when they also have black characters. But even though I highly don't recommend this movie, at the same time, I am so glad I watched it, because it's such a devil confession. So let's get into it. Now, this is just to confirm that these people do their confessing through their movies. They used to do it with the Catholic Church through the confessional box, which I don't know in what black begun chapter of civilization did we ever need to have confessional boxes, because we were committing such heinous wrongs that it troubled our souls. And so this is a scene from the movie Dr. Strangelove, where James Earl Jones had a small part in the plane that was just ordered to circle Russia just in case of any nuclear war issues. When this movie, I think, was put out, released, it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis, where Nikita Khrushchev, I do believe, was threatening to deploy missiles or station nuclear bombs in Cuba. Huge brouhaha between the United States and Russia, which piggybacks off of the entire fear, nuclear fear, that started with the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, given the incredible carnage that those two nuclear bombs wreaked. The first nuclear bomb was actually dropped on black men, but I won't get into Port Chicago. This scene right here, this whole movie, I once thought I wanted to do a deconstruction of the iconography in Dr. Strangelove, but it's such an old movie that most of us would never watch it, and thereby wouldn't be interested in just seeing how these people, they do this sort of stuff. Like also in Planet of the Apes, not the first one and not the modern one, but the originals. They had, I think it was underneath the Planet of the Apes, where there was a scene of these mutated human-like creatures that were still very intelligent, according to them, and they worshiped the nuclear bomb. And so, and we know that they use their media as a way of implanting different images and different concepts. And we watch so many of these offerings that this stuff will get into your thought waves and you won't even be aware of it. So why I'm highlighting this is because this is a scene that represents as above, so below. I went over it highlighting Morgan Freeman. This was during the soccer games, the World Cup that were held in Qatar, I do believe. And how this really it's strange. It's a thoroughly non sequitur. It's not meant for entertainment. They will put out these different icons often the way that wild beasts will scent their territory. And so that folks can know, oh, okay, they're working on it over there. And oftentimes they'll even do that in order to signal back and forth to one another if there is a genuine good person, and there's plenty of us out here, and there's a satanic adherent working on handling them, changing their ways of thinking. They'll often use different icons, to signal to others that I got this one. I'm working on this one, okay? And so this was just considered a strange kind of performance. It had absolutely no superficial meaning, discernible meaning from looking at it. But when you understand the different methods that the devil communicates, then it all makes sense. And so this winds up fitting in seamlessly with all of that. And by saying same as above as below, I realized suddenly it depends on who's in charge. If it's heaven, if it's goodness, if it's the Most High, then same as above as below, or same as below as above. It all is in obedience to him, in submission to his supreme wisdom, understanding, guidance, righteousness, all of it. That's a wonderful thing. But when you got the devil in charge, that's when you have white noise. Now, the thing I really was astounded about this film was just how precise my own calculations of the nature of the nothingness is, which I theorize is white noise. And the reason why this all can be understood in a calculated fashion is because I base my conclusions on the science, on CERN and their ability to create antimatter in several chambers at the same time. It always only exists for a couple seconds. That's why you've had folks like Hawking's coming out saying, oh, we're doomed. Ostensibly, before he died, he said words to that effect. And the Pope also just coming out with very apocalyptic concepts or statements, especially about the unentitled snakes of America, where he says that it needs to be ruled by a one world government because it's a mess. No, it's a mess because of them. We didn't do what they're doing, and all the things that they do their best in order to keep their common white person on board. All the things they do with us are orchestrated. The critical race theory, that wasn't developed by us. When we are pro-black, conscious black, we don't give a damn about white people and what they think. We just try to survive what they do, and that happens when we analyze what they think. Well, critical race theory was developed by white Harvard professors. Later on, they brought old Skippy in, Skip Gates, and to give a black face to it, but it was predicated to do exactly what it wound up doing, which is pissing off a whole bunch of white people. I'm not upset about that. I'm just like, look, if you're going to get mad at us for something we've done to you, at least let us have actually done it to you. We really want to just get away from you. But the way that these dudes are fooled, we're going to get away from them by the Most High just sitting back saying, nope, you needed the whole planet to be destroyed by Fukushima fallout. And the
radiation that is barreling into the core of our planet. And so the KKK, that was all set up to fool white people, to give them this just the mindless sense that they're perfect, everything about them. And this white noise here is not necessarily for the common white person. I think the common white person, this would just go straight over their heads. I'm sure their reviews have been terrible. I haven't paid attention to the reviews. This is such an important film, though, that I didn't want to pay attention to the reviews. I just wanted to go over it as Black me for Black us. So I got a lot of pictures and a lot of data to roll through. Let's get to it. Immediately, I can't play clips from the movie itself. It's on Netflix, but I don't recommend watching it because it is satanic, highly satanic. All right, but from the outset, the voice speaking is Don Cheadle's voice, who's playing a professor. You'll see him coming up. But that is key because it's as above, so below. But what I loved about this film is the fact that it is anal retentive proof that these people are in a panic fit. They are losing. So Don Cheadle starts out saying, okay, roll film, machine powering up, whirring. And he goes on to say, don't think of a car crash in a movie as a violent act. Excuse me, what exactly is it supposed to be if it isn't violence? But he's speaking from the mindset of a Negro peon, where he's just taking in the white people's nonsense. No, these collisions are part of a long tradition. Of their violence, of Caucasian just love of destruction. And here he calls it of American optimism. Exactly what has that been but their ability to destroy everything that moves so that they could guarantee their unentitled rights to take over everything. So a reaffirmation of traditional values and belief. This is a Negro peon talking, where he's taken on their cultural traditions and doesn't even realize it, even though he's a professor. And then they're just showing one car crash after another, a celebration. Remember, they used to celebrate slaughtering the natives, who turns out we were those natives too. It's a surprise to me. If some truth comes to me and I gotta accept it, that's just the way it goes. It's about truth. It's not about my ego. And think of these crashes like you would Thanksgiving. How convenient, of course. And the 4th of July, and he's showing old Becky right here for us to see. Blonde hair, blue eye, all American. These values that are based on violence. On these days, we don't mourn the dead or rejoice in miracles. This is just to say, God, no, don't believe in God. Don't believe in God. Don't have sympathy for those that we've killed. This is no white guilt, no white guilt. No, these are days of secular optimism. How clear can they put it? How clear? This is about atheistic, whatever you have that is, it doesn't have to be a weakness. It's not a weakness necessarily to have doubts and questions. It's what are you going to do with those doubts and questions? Are you going to go by these dudes to find your answers? Then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. If you think they're the height of scientific integrity, then you might sit back and believe things like evolution. And then you find out through research that no, it's actually not true. That was quite shocking for me, okay? But I accepted it because it was true. It's not at all cut and dried like they say. That's why it's still the theory of evolution and not the fact. So no, these are the days of secular optimism, of self-celebration. That's right. Just concentrate on you. Don't think about your connectedness to the rest of society and to the Most High first and foremost. And later on, they're going to go through individualism. As long as you adhere to what they want you to think, then they want you to think as above, so below, with them in charge. Each crash is meant to be better than the last because they're always improving their racism. It doesn't just stay still at, step and fetch it days. Now they have every single movie out there is going to be interracial or homosexual if there are black people in it. This one, it was so interracial. That they didn't even have to make it on a sexual basis because it just was like, oh, you are going to see what I'm talking about. There's a constant upgrading of tools, skills, a meeting of challenges. What? Where's the truth in that? Where's the truth? Well, how about we're trying to understand the reality of life better? That you don't kill people. Oh, no. It's a high-spirited moment. You might say, but what about all that blood and glass? And there's Don, so you can confirm there's Don speaking, the black man speaking first. The screeching rubber, the crushed bodies. And there goes a biracial-looking woman or Italian-looking woman going, yeah, that's right. I have a little bit of melanin that makes my pineal gland function slightly okay. And so I feel sympathy for all the horror that we've caused. The severed limbs. What kind of optimism is this? And there goes the ugly, maybe probably feminist white woman who wants to pretend that she knows, she feels compassion when they're nowhere around when something happens to us black women. I'm just saying. Look past the violence, I say. This is a Candace Owens move right here, where the Australian shooter who went into the Muslim church and killed all those people has said that he was inspired by Candace Owens, who came out in favor of Hitler. In favor of Hitler. What? I can never, ever co-sign violence. And the Most High told us vengeance is his. That's a beautiful thing we could just work on building. But if they could get a black, clueless actor up there to pretend as above, so below with the devil in charge, you ain't getting very higher than their barbarity. There is a wonderful brimming spirit of innocence and fun. What? This is what they don't want to feel guilty about. This is the mindset they want to get back to when they used to just kill with the concept that we were no more than animals. There you go, white noise. And the first, after Don Cheadle's, and very, very important. Everything in this movie is critical. I mean, and that there's talk about waves and radiation. There's waves of things in here that I just can't even go over, or this would be a 2-hour-long video. But the fact that they had it segmented in 2 sections in the most foundational part of the movie, and the first one was waves and radiation. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They know what they're talking about. They're talking about Fukushima fallout. But they're doing it, everything in here is cryptic as hell. When it came to their Renaissance paintings, I mean, these dudes, every single image in these paintings had significant meaning for them. These guys, they're is the word necromancers? I guess, yeah, there we go. The practice of supposedly communicating with the spirits of the dead in order to predict the future. Black magic, sorcery, magic qualities. That's just what they do. They never stop. These people, they are working furiously to maintain their culture, which is based on their devilish nature. Every single one of them? No, there's common ones who just wouldn't get into all of this. But this was part of the black nobility, 100%, where they were trying to protect their thievery of the common European. Okay? And so in Waves and Radiation, right at the outset, this dude comes out as an operative, where he's wearing a black robe, verily unnecessary. What college professors walk around wearing black robes these days? But out of this black robe comes his white hand, right? The hidden hand. It's a bloody hand. And he's got on the CIA. This is one of the things I'm sure you noticed all over the internet. These dudes who you are suspicious as heck. That dude's an operative right there. They'll often be wearing sunglasses. It's one of those icons that they put out there to communicate back and forth to one another. Yo, I'm on board for the program, for the Edward Bernays Century of Self-Lunacy, for the white noise. And so he just instantly appears in this robe, pulls his hand from inside to push his glasses up, and then he's not wearing the robe anywhere. He starts taking the sucker off in order to go out past this little section right here, where if you want to know where this is, they never mention where this city is, but this reference, College on the Hill, is really an actual important reference. It doesn't refer to, there's no college called College on the Hill, but it's imitation of City on the Hill, which was spoken of in John Winthrop's Dreams of a City on a Hill. This is one of these things where the more research you do, the more references is the sort of thing that you will find within their society. But who was John Winthrop? He was a dude who conducted the Salem witch trials, okay? But he made a speech detailing what was their goal as new emigres to the unentitled Snakes of America. It wasn't quite the unentitled Snakes of America yet. I do believe they went there in the early to late 1600s. And I won't read this, but it's a very, very interesting read. His whole treatise speech he gave as they were on the boat heading over towards the colonies. And it explains how there's a rigid structure to those who are worthy of respect and those who are not. As a matter of fact, the Salem witch trials all began because of the natural healing that the abducted Tituba had to endure because she was just practicing our own natural healing, and it worked better than anything that these devils had ever encountered. And because of this rigid standard of where you're supposed to get healing from and respect from, and the common white people who were like, well, wait a minute, but this stuff works. Your leeches and your blood, all that other stuff, the little heated up cups, and those are painful and they don't work as well as what this girl is offering. And so, yeah, that's what this movie is about. A college on their hill. It's the opening days, and there seems to have been some gathering. I think it's just actually the parents who are dropping off their children into this institution. And I find let's enjoy these aimless days while we can. They know everything here is cryptic, as I said. They know it's over. It's over. Because, like Salem witch trials, is anybody speaking about those with reverence? And wow, they really did the right thing there. Right? And this is his wife. and Babette. His name is Jack. She is a pivotal character in all of this, and I'll get in more into the meaning of her character. But she's like, did I miss it again? You're supposed to remind me. I don't know if it's orientation, but there's a lot of non sequitur conversation that goes on during this movie. But that's because it's not addressing any sort of plot laid out before them. It's addressing their satanic incantations, their necromancy, where they hope for dear life. That's coming up, what they're hoping for dear life specifically. You know, I need reminding, Jack. This just is like the bimbo white chick, the feminist, who has absolutely not a clue that she's being used. The white woman right now is being used as the whore for the whole world. And not that you have to work that hard at it. Like I said, there are white women out there who get why you should not be attention whoring. But they are the capital number one, first on the planet, attention whores ever. So much so that their men ran from them. Their men made chastity belts for them that left them in filth while they were out looting the world. The men didn't want to be with them anyway. Family is the most sacred blessing. Any man who's been talked out of the majesty of having your own family to make in your image, especially if your nation is intact and righteous, there's no greater wealth than your family. But they've talked even brothers into believing the shaft nonsense that, a sign of success is leaving a whole bunch of babies all over the place when the mother is going to be cussing your name. Now, that's not a child who's going to grow up with any respect for you. So you've lost the most important wealth, your future. And so he's like, I realized it was 1968. I started the Hitler Studies program. This is a dude who teaches about Hitler. You would think, well, what's the connection here? Well, a lot of us do know, but it needs to be emphasized again because there's so much data coming from the revealing of the devil that it can just sometimes get all clumped up in there. So, fact check, Nazi scientists brought to U.S. an Operation Paperclip. Bam, there you go. And then the other one that they don't even talk about, which is how the United States government granted amnesty to war criminals. They were so ghoulish. In Japan's Unit 731, it was astounding. And I had done a share going over the assassination of Shinzo Abe. That was just to remind all the other titular leaders of the world, keep it going with all your lies and all your lockdowns, that he was riding in an airplane with 731 right on the side panel. That wasn't an accident any more than the dude who just walked right on up to him and took him out was an accident. And so this dude is an American, and he's practicing, we know cryptically he's practicing, but in the script, he's teaching Hitler Studies program that all fits in. And they believe they're entitled to it. They glow a little. I read this one and I was just like, are they listening to my shares? I'm not saying they are, all right? I'm just one of us. But this is about radiation and black us and how to keep us from listening to a sister like me. And so I'm just like, okay, maybe they are, because I have been saying for years and years, the unentitled snakes of America, because of Fukushima fallout, because of all the other poisons too. But before I learned about that one and how obliterating it is, I could have almost just said, well, they're trying to make money. They're evil. Yeah, they just want to make money. No, they want to kill us. You can't make money if everybody's dead, okay? And so maybe there's no death as we know it, just documents changing hands. They hope so. This, in a way, is a palliative for their clueless elites who might have joined some sort of satanic cult thinking that it's, the new AA where you go in order to network, and they really think that it's somehow beneficial to them. And they're wondering, just like the statue in Jersey City, that's not a young woman's hand hushing her. That's a old wrinkled up hand, a man's hand in front of a girl saying hush. And she's looking directly out over to New York City. And so this is to keep them on board because, oh my, I keep talking about the plane crashes, right? Well, that's coming up. Now, this dialogue right here, it's just a massive conversation happening in the family in the background, white noise. But right here, I had to capture this image. She's taking a medication that she's hiding from the rest of the family. And that has its own significant meaning. I might not get into it deeply, but I just want you to see that because it is significant in the dynamics of the children and her because it seems to increase her forgetfulness. No, that's not the real meaning of it, but hopefully I'll remember towards the end of this to mention the real reason. You see her daughter off to the side, checking her out as she is slipping one of these little white pills. And she grabs the bottle out of the garbage. And throughout the entire movie, the emphasis on corporate kitchen crap is overwhelming. And it's part of the cryptic narrative that's outside of the very, very mediocre plot narrative, which would be why if they're white people trashing the movie, I would say that's it, because they're not capable of seeing the greater depth of meaning of everything going on. So notice it's shining on her one eye, one of those icons, the one seeing, the all-seeing eye. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Well, the full way to put that is the two-eyed man in the land of the blind is number one on the most wanted list. That would be sane black you and I. Emphasis on sane. So she is looking at the bottle and the light is coming through, shining on her eye. And it's called Dialar. I think that's just their way of saying die more. Believe all the lies that we have to share because we got plenty of them. And die more, all right? Because they're making it seem as if death is a thing that they're afraid of. Your death would leave an abyss in my life, he's telling his wife. No, he just means the nothingness. Because this is the dynamic that they hope will keep working for them. The white man and the white woman working together because he is sort of aware of what's going on. As a matter of fact, he is got that bloody hand, that hidden hand, the sunglasses. He's going to lie and say whatever needs to be said. He has no morality whatsoever, but in the movie he pretends that he does. And he has a attachment to his wife who is utterly clueless. He says, your death would be more than abyss. Yeah, you're both going, you're both damned. Oh well, no tears here. Who's out there? They're all so afraid of the one and the only. Who are you? And then all in the background, the shadows start looming because they're terrified in real life, not just in this movie. You don't write something like this and you're kind of pretending you're scared out your mind. They really, really are. And so immediately as they're scared out their mind, here come the troops to save them. Here comes the dynamic character of Hitler. That's also part of the script where they say when people are fearful, they look for the charismatic leader no matter who he is If he looks like he's going to get him out of it, they don't ask too many daggone questions. They just cheer along. And so now, here we are in his classroom where he's doing the teaching, but he's just projecting, and there he is in a dark friggin' theater wearing his glasses again and the black robe. And there goes his bloody hand coming up out the robe again. When people are helpless and scared, they're drawn to magical figures, including Satan, right? If you practice an evil, you don't have to go to a coven to be on board for the evildoers. And so all plots move deathward. If you believe in as above, so below, and Satan's in charge, but if you are in submission to the one and the only, then his is not a plot, it's guidance. Guidance to forever bliss and heaven and harmony, and it's got rules. For these dudes, it's just a death march down. This is the nature of plots. Political plots, terrorist plots, lovers plots, narrative plots. And all of a sudden it goes on over to his wife, teaching a class of senior citizens. And another feature of this is the rainbow. The rainbow. That was promised to us. They feature it all over the daggone place. And so the fact that narrative plots cuts off right to a scene with her as he's still speaking, that is important. That says that this movie is another plot to continue the terror, but give you a false sense of rescue. Plots that are part of children's games. I did a share going over how more effective Nazism evil is when they attach it to childhood, to cute little cartoon shows, to babyface Hitler. We edge nearer to death every time we plot. And there we go. They're screaming like they're scared, but it's all so much fun. Yay! There they go. It's like a contract. All must sign. Really? No, you only sign if you want to. You don't have to sign a contract if you're not a child. And you don't have to, you're not allowed as a child to sign a contract, but your parents, if your parents have signed it, then you're going to be grooming them to think of them, these dudes and their society as, you know, there goes Germany on his t-shirt. There was just so many t-shirts with just absolute 100% just beguilement on them. And the food, once again, you are going to indoctrinate your children into normalizing what means them absolutely no good, as well as targets of the plot. There you go, the targets. And who's the big, right after saying that, what's the next scene that pops up? Old Don Cheadle. I want you to pay attention to the background. It's the butcher's corner, coming soon. They're telling theirs that you're going to be able to butcher black men, black people, period, because we're one people. When you say mankind or man, you mean the woman also, protected by the men. Not in this movie. Ain't no protection for any black women coming here, okay? But you don't, this, like I said, there's no interracial relationships that are sexual. It's worse. It's mental. Notice the compositional placement. That is, if you are an artist, which I have been in my life, a professional one, not just accidental, but here is one triangle. I don't know any meat where you're just going to have a triangle of fat right there. This is strategic placement where you have one directional leading over right here to this downward triangle aimed at Don Cheadle, and it's coming soon. So here's Don standing right here. Where's that triangle? That downward pyramid. They got both the up and the down pyramid as a symbol of their plan, appealing to a person's higher thinking, so that then they could just focus on the down pyramid where it's pointing down, because it's supposed to point at they just want you thinking distractional, sexual, reptilian thoughts, short-term impulse thinking. And here Don is a professor, and that's all he thinks about. He thinks on the surface 100% Afro-Saxons. And that's why he's in front of this giant super red. This is not something that's actually would be salivating to look at, but red in and of itself is a very, very hypnotic color. That's why in McDonald's, they have their restaurants fashioned often in red, fast food restaurants, because they want you to immediately salivate, even though you should be thinking better. You can't when you're impulse driven. And you're addicted to all the poisons in their foods. And so the big thing is that an A&P is coming to their store. No, they just mean a franchise. They just mean another generic participant in the system of hell. And Don is actually happy to be a willing cow for all of this, combined with the sight of a blood-stained man. I'm like, this dude, as an actor, he must have not thought at all about any of this. Pounding strips of living veal is very exciting. Once again, I thought you were teaching. He actually teaches about Elvis, but he seems to concentrate on carnage. And here, his specialty is living icons. 100%. They want you to pivot on the black guy's interpretation of icons, like they want others to listen to Candace Owens and feel no more white guilt. And so here, he's also saying it's not the white guy, it's Don who's saying family is the cradle of the world's misinformation. Please pivot on, Don, and so that you think this family is your weakness in life rather than your strength. And then this was wild. Don suddenly says to Murray, I guess that's the guy, Jack Murray, or Murray, that's the name of the Don Cheadle character. Your wife's hair is a living wonder. I was like, oh, the hell no, you didn't. Oh, the hell no, you didn't. Because all throughout the movie, you don't see the Cheadle character, Murray, with any black woman whatsoever. Why is it suddenly on a white woman, a black-like hair is a living wonder? This reminds me of the role of Kim Kardashian in destroying Kanye. And I think Kanye came pre-destroyed. Otherwise, he would have never gotten with a complete out-and-out whore. Now he's married to another white woman who looks strikingly like Kim. And you will never see Kim. More than likely, you'll never see Kim with another black man at all, because she was working it. She was just working it because she's a witch. She's a witch. And that's why she pumped her body up to look like a black woman's, because it is in the nature of the black man to be attracted to the black woman. And it is in the nature of the black woman to be attracted to the black man. They have to work overtime to convince us that not being with us is some sort of move up. Even though the swirlers and the bedbugs they take so many L's. So many L's. So this is all just some more appropriate Kim Kardashian lunacy, where you got this white woman with black-like hair, and suddenly it's a living wonder, and it's important hair. What? You're a professor, why are you talking about hair on a white woman? And it's important. And that's because he's an Afro-Saxon. If he can see that hair on a white woman, suddenly it's okay. And look at Jack over here, who's just like, okay, yeah, right, I know. No, he is a groomer. He's a handler. And Kim, notice Kim has lost massive weight. She even had to put on Marilyn Monroe's dress and rip it, I understand, to prove that she's white again. I'm white again. I know I got this big plastic booty, but please forgive me, white men. Hey, and this is just to emphasize that this is not California. I had to get California don't look like this. This is like Vermont or, one of these not Midwestern even, but just northeastern cities. And that will be integral coming up. But here he is. This dude teaches about Hitler. He can't even speak German. That's because, as with Operation Paperclip, this is universal. This is the nature of the white man. This is not about boundaries and, nationhoods. They are trying to take over the entire planet, as I mentioned at the outset, like the Pope. They're trying to make one world government because they cannot control us unless they have one universal system. That's how the unentitled snakes of America got started, with the national government. It was originally, that's why they have all these states. It was originally just supposed to be states governments. But the founders of the Constitution knew they would be in trouble if they didn't have one overarching federal system, because these local militias were made up of the people who lived in the area. And so they would sympathize with the plights and the grievances of the common citizens right there. But if you're coming in from an area that's like 7 states away, white people will not care about other white people. And this is just to emphasize, this is part of their society. Everybody takes medication. He's talking to his daughter about Babette. She hides books, and this is also this is like the anchor of the entire movie. She just saying that how the daughter's trying to prove how discombobulated mom is, where she hides books on the occult in the attic. There's no other mention in the story about this whatsoever. But when I come to the photo about it, you're going to understand that it's absolutely the entire hook of the meaning of this movie. And so here we go with the plane crash. That's why I'm like, are you watching my shares? Noah Baumbach, who is the director for this movie. I'm just saying, they will be told this is the movie you're going to make next, and they'll just do it. But this is so well done. There was another show that highlighted how the underpinnings of their nature, the leftovers that very few people watch, including white people, but my king and I, we watched it all the way through. It was just absolutely fascinating, but it was so long because it was a series that it was hard to explain. This one, not so hard. So there you go, plane crash footage. The whole family goes racing down to watch this plane crash. And this is why I think even the clueless elites had that statue shoved in their face, because so many of them are dying in plane crashes. And I don't know if you notice how they're just shutting down planes right in the middle of the holidays, so that people are stranded in the airports. And then they had a giant glitch where suddenly all the planes they couldn't take off. They didn't have clearance to take off. While in poorer nations where they don't have an understanding of the devil quite like white people do, there was just a plane crash in, I do believe, Nepal, and it was horrifying, where 72 people, all of them were incinerated. And there was a film made by one of the passengers where they didn't have a clue the plane was going to go down. That's called the Wigner effect. Radiation causes that. And so here they are, the whole family gathered. They're absolutely fascinated. They got to watch this crash, this carnage. This isn't funny. This isn't cute. These are real people dying. But just like when the federal government enacted itself in order to have the electoral college, and then the common man couldn't really pick his owners, they knew all we have to do is just send troops in there and forget it. They ain't going to care about other white people. And so he's having a nightmare after watching Crash, because dude knows. And there's the rainbow again up on the wall. Just want to pivot on that. This is a manifestation of the devil that was just sitting there, Baphomet, with all of his, supposed to be his wife, but it was clearly a man. So they're doing that whole multi-sexual, non-binary kind of nonsense. That's there, as above, so below. There's no more rules. And so he's terrified right here, obviously. And you know, the next day he's at work trying to do what he does, and there's the gathering of the different professors talking nonsense, more white noise. But some of it you listen to and you're like, okay, I see what you're saying. It's normal that decent, well-meaning people would find themselves intrigued by catastrophe when they see it on TV. That's just, once again, they study. How can we make these folks rubberneck? So that they're not paying attention to what they really need to. And remember, we were talking about waves and radiation that's coming up. We're suffering from brain fade. Yeah, look at all the friggin' food that is interfering with their ability to think. And this dude is a friggin' Neanderthal on purpose. It's not by accident. And he is Murray's nemesis. I can't even say the name of this dude that it is. It's a very, Eastern European type of name. But he also teaches about Elvis. And Murray's like being outdone by the caveman? What? Really? That's what they want. We need an occasional catastrophe. There you go. Fukushima wasn't an accident, all right? To break up the incessant bombardment of information. I thought you were a professor. I thought you would want people to understand what's going on. I noticed that he has the B on his black robe. I'm quite sure that wasn't an accident either. You don't want more information? You want less? Really? Okay. And yeah, then, I'll read this. The flow's constant. It's words, pictures, numbers. That's right. They need to overwhelm us. Only catastrophe gets our attention. We want them. And yes, that is Andre, 500 or 200? I don't know what number he is this year. But yeah, there he is drinking Sprite. And he's also a professor. They never mention of what, but obviously he's a professor of distraction. This is where California comes in. This was absolutely such a confession. It reminded me, it's so fitting for the quiet ways that they are evacuating California without doing the honorable, what you would expect from a governing body that is duly elected by the citizens to do, which is just to be upfront, say there's a terrible level of exterminating radiation on the West Coast right now. You need to get out of it. I know they put the hints all in these movies, in these songs. This one is from Nessa Barrett. And this is pretty much an underground song. It's only got 147,000 views. And I've been loving this song as I go on my run. I got my little playlist. I'm sure I'll get sick of it sooner or later because it's pop music. But at the same time, the lyrics, I'm so tired of California. I'm so tired of LA, where the real thing comes as often as the California rain. Rain is radioactive, and there'll be more on the real thing coming up in my deconstruction. But going over the lyrics, I get sick of sunshine. Who's this going to? It's because the white people, right? Who gets sick of sunshine? on their perfect skin. What kind of mentality is that? That's a white person's mentality. If your skin was perfect, you would never be sick of the sunshine. You would drink it up. And you have to keep your skin perfect the way you've been taught it is, because if you're out in the sunshine too damn long, it's gonna be melanoma city. Now this right here, perfect. I got all these legal toxins in my blood and in my brain. Remember, this is specifically supposed to be about California. But if this is about generalized pollution and not radiation, then this is something that's affecting every place on this planet. No, these are legal toxins that are radiation. Radiation, to kill whole populations with radiation, which it does, kills whole species, killing our whole planet. That is so much that's involved that it seems extraordinary. But the changing in the weather, all of it, because it's heating up the planet. What do you think it's doing in our bodies? But it's legal to kill everything. It's legal to destroy the whole planet because nobody knows about it. Nobody reads the books that I read, and I'll put the playlist at the end of all of this. Nah, I'll do it next time around because this is going to be long enough, all right? But in my brain, I keep saying that I'm leaving, but it doesn't work that way. This is a lowbrow, hidden hand method of them trying to get the smartest, less clueless white people to say, get out. And the exodus out of California is just off the charts. I think in the past 5 years, it's been like over 100,000 people who've left the Sunshine State. That is unprecedented. This was absolutely such a confession where they aren't in California. Why are you suddenly mentioning California? Mudslides, brush fires. He says California deserves whatever it gets. And notice they keep offering that reparations. San Francisco now offering reparations to black people, or they're talking about it big time. Millions of dollars they want to give you. Now going over to this black white chick. He knows his wife's hair is important, but this woman is supposed to, he's calling her brilliant, right? He wants her to analyze a pill, but she's not brilliant enough to know her own natural hair is an antenna that pulls in not just frequencies from the TV set, but from the entire galaxy, as my king has been just spelling out in his Zoom meetings, how we are connected, how it is an echo, it is a communication system through our melanin. And then you have an enhancement in your natural hair, and you're going to limpify it up. So this sister is too humble to want to have important hair. This is the way that these handlers want black women to think of as some sort of compliment to us, that our approval, our self-respect as intelligent beings can only come through submitting to the devil himself. And so this sister is so humble that she's too humble to want to access all the might of her melanin, DA, her beautiful blackness. Look how wonderfully black she is. But is she so humble as she doesn't even want to, she's brilliant, right? But she doesn't want to explore the technology of her own self. She prefers to have the approval of these handlers, these devils, in order to give her a sense that she matters. And when it comes to the creamy crack, I see they're putting out there now about the cancer link. I'm not saying it doesn't cause cancer. Go natural. But they're finding all the different ways they can so that when we see the absolute surge in black cancer, they could say, oh no, it was that creamy crack. But you're going to see it in black men too. That's the thing, is you're seeing more and more black men, just sudden death. Don't believe that friggin' documentary. And because all the sea creatures that are dead, they ain't going to get a jab. You see something so heavily produced and it's being promoted all over the place, the satanic elites know damn well. They want you to see it. So they got all these lawsuits going on from these different law agencies. Never seen the like of it. That's because they want us thinking, oh, you got a brain tumor. And because of the creamy crack. No, brothers are still going to be dying. And so he's asking, could you analyze it? The black characters never make eye contact with one another. They never, ever talk to one another. It's like they're in separate rooms. They know about the conductivity of melanin across the galaxies. Of course, they want us not to connect with one another, not to connect to the might of what is naturally you and me. Why do you ask me? You're brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I am, but I'm smart enough to know to have my own natural hair. And let me emphasize, they use agent black men up here. Not all of them are agents. Some of them are just beguiled. But to peddle the idea that black women are the height of fakery when we, for the most part, still love our beautiful black skin. We aren't out there getting that friggin' skin crack, the skin lightening creams that have got Wendy Williams out of her daggone mind because it's got mercury in it. We're not doing that. We're not getting friggin' nose jobs up the wazoo. That's the white women doing that stuff. So stop it. Stop it with who's the most fake out there because of some trauma from these people reinforcing you can't get a job here unless you have your hair tamed. But the sister doesn't understand. She's being used. She's being used. And I forgot to put this part in there as far as him saying California deserves what it gets. California invented the concept of lifestyle. No, they just have hella weird up in there. They have been the biggest liars, the most successful liars. And that's the thing about when you sign on board with Satan, you become grist for the mill. So this alone warrants their doom. Jack, I need your help. So here comes the black man inviting the devil in. That is what you don't do, because the devil is only going to be able to come for us on the straight path. That means you have to seek his beguilement because you believe it. Establishing an Elvis Presley power base in the department. What? Really? Black man. Yeah, Elvis Presley. Did you take, and hit more nonsense, did you take a crap in a toilet bowl that had no seat? Ain't no natural black man gonna be out doing the stuff that they attribute to Andre's character. Hot Sakis, that's the name of the Neanderthal. He's talking about how he's his rival. But for me, Elvis is my Hitler. What? Yes, because Elvis is a cute Hitler for him. He's somebody he can relate to. He's yearning to be accepted by the Saxons. He can achieve that through Elvis. Come on. How can I help? There he goes. He's so concerned. He's going to help this black man. No, he's not. Your prestige, your physical person, it would mean a lot. This is the Don Cheadle character saying that to him. And here is the Neanderthal saying pissing in the snow is also a fetish for me. That's after Andre went over all the different places he peed in, all the motels, just what? No. These are the things we don't teach. Bowls with no seats, pissing in sinks. This is Andre saying all of this. And yeah, they also don't teach this death plot narrative. I've slipped across the border to piss in sinks in Manitoba and Alberta. And here, ever had a woman peel flaking skin from your back after a few days at the beach? What beautifully melanated man would need to have anybody peel flaking skin from him unless he just literally fell in asleep in the sunlight for A whole month. That's for the white man. And notice he's holding an apple. An apple. All the fake food all over the place, and all of a sudden there's an apple. It's actually, for these dudes, another important icon right on up there. He's telling him a lie. He's a snake. And there is Andre. He already gobbled the whole thing down. He's going over all the places. Oh, the place where there was a woman who peeled the flaking skin off his back. It was tremendous. He's blowing smoke around. But like, what college cafeteria would you be smoking a cigarette while eating an apple? That's because he's blowing whiteism at him. Don't let me forget to mention that at the table, all the white professors are wearing the black robes. The black, genetically black professors are wearing street clothes, and except for this one white professor who's holding the apple that we all know from the Bible. I don't have to get into the particulars of it. But it's obvious that nothing in this movie is accidental, and all these different scenes are now going to be interspersed with the big radioactive crash. And here we go. Here comes the crash, the radiation, the waves. You got a long freight train with a red engine pulling it. Every car in the back is black, coming down the track as these guys are talking. And here, there's a scene, the toxic chemicals, after talking about California, and a white Mack truck, a white oil truck. And here, very important, you get to see the driver in the white truck. And there's no visual on the engineer driving the train, and so it's completely depersonalized. A big red engine in the front and a black snake-like cars behind, coming straight for a giant crash between black and white that they hope will happen, but they have to work their magic, their necromancy, in order to secure it. And the song that he's listening to, it let you know the lyrics. Stop, look, and listen, baby. They want you to know. You got to pay attention. They want us paying attention because they want to be able to say to the Most High, well, I told them. Doesn't matter that I was trying my best to hide it with all this iconic symbols and narratives. It doesn't matter. Because they wanted to believe me, and that's why they did. That's my philosophy. And so this dude that was also, he had been drinking, this the common white guy, and, rubbernecking. Isn't that interesting? Rubbernecking by Elvis Presley. Here's the rubbernecking scene. Flammable, no smoking within 50 feet. Now here comes the handler. They've got all these scenes intersperse rapidly in between each other because this is the real rubbernecking scene. He's about to enter Don Cheadle's classroom where he's been invited. Notice the rainbow. He is in the shadows and he's entering his friend's classroom. Rainbows all over because remember, the rainbow was a covenant from the Most High to black us. It wasn't a sign of destruction of the family. It wasn't at all. It was a promise that he would never destroy the planet using water again. It would be fire. That's what I talk about. The radiation is subatomic fire. And so this is, as I say, if you are in submission to their mindset, then as above, so below for you is your destruction. It's your destruction. You bring chaos and confusion to what is already difficult in every era of life. Having a family so that they can perpetuate you into forever. Especially if your nation makes sense, because other than that, they're going to come for your children. They sang it, and they meant it. And so this is not a light scene that suddenly the rainbow is everywhere. It's everywhere. And there go just a couple students. It's not so bad. You would think it's not so bad, but here comes the devil himself entering the room, and then suddenly everybody, especially Andre, he's the first one to rush into the door. Oh, now I gotta listen. He wouldn't support his brother before, but now he's gonna come on in listening. And then this is the crash right here. This is the crash right here. But you invited him in. You are protected by the covenant of Most High, but not if you go along with all the evil that they perpetuate, and so you will destroy yourself. No, he's so grateful. He's so grateful that this dude has now brought in all the people, even the natural head, overweight sister. Don't you dare be attracted to that natural. Works out on the constant, and there's plenty of sisters who do that. And I'm not saying that big sisters aren't beautiful, but this is what they've always used through their media to make sure that you find every other woman attractive as long as she's not black. When they know the might of who we are. And I just noticed the poster hanging up in the background is got to be a reference to Oreo cookies, because of just the, I forget I didn't eat those marshmallow bars or whatever the heck they call them, but you got two black ones on the outside and white on the inside. Like I said, no eye contact. He's even like, oh my goodness, I gotta sit down now and listen to Hitler. Listen to Hitler. There he is. He's been invited right on into the protection that the Most High offered to us. Crowds came to be hypnotized by the voice. There you go, raising his as above, so below shirt underneath his hidden robe. And here the crash keeps on coming just as he's speaking. We've been part of those crowds squealing for Hitler. We've been part of death, of damnation, death. These crowds were assembled in the name of death. No, only if you believe this guy is the top of everything. Then that's why you assembled there. But the Most High says he comes to bring life, and more abundantly, not death. He even said, unless you're helping these principalities, I have mercy and forgiveness for everybody. Who's going to bow down? But you busy bowing down to this lunacy. Oh, you know the Creator's going to be super upset with you. He hates the fence sitters even more so. But he has no love for the prodigal. If you are prodigal, and I can speak because I feel like I was once, I'm not anymore. I do my best to prove, oh, Allah, I've learned my lesson. Then make up for your wrongdoing and ask for mercy and hope he'll forgive you. He may not forgive me. I'm just saying, the future dead. That's right. That's what that radiation does. And there, he's pointing right at those listening to him. The future dead. The living dead amongst us. Processions, songs, speeches, dialogues with the dead. Crowds came to form a shield against their own dying. Not if they've got you as the top of the pyramid. To become a crowd is to keep out death. Oh, suddenly now you want to be a crowd. I thought it was all about the self. These people, they're full of crap. To break off from the crowd is to risk death as an individual. Yes, if you signed up with Satan, then they're going to come for you. If you went and joined some coven, if you're bowing down to these people as being the source of all that is superior in life, you in trouble. To break off from the crowd is to risk death as an individual. There this dude is, he's drunkard. He's a drunkard. And so the white man ain't feeling too much for him either. Driving a semi-truck and you drinking Jack Daniels. Stop it. To face dying alone. You're going to go to the Most High and said, oh, I'm sorry. I ignored you because I was afraid of being alone. That ain't going to cut it. We all die alone. even if you are surrounded by friends and family, and I pray that you will be. Nobody's going to jump on in there and die on your behalf. Literally, I don't mean, metaphorically or spiritually. Literally, we all must face that final moment on our own. And it says in the good holy books that we are solely responsible for the good or wrong that we did in our lifetime. You can't look to anybody else to jump in and cover you, and you can't use anybody else as an excuse. But as long as you put these people as the top of what you consider right and holy, you're in trouble. There's the crash. Old Jack, he gone. He gone. He is destroyed completely, crashing into the black train cars. Crowds came for this reason above all others. Because they were just like so terrified by the prospect of being alone, of dying, that they want to be part of something. And they'll take any magical just guidance, beguilement that the devil is going to offer them. And it's a giant train wreck that's just, it's so much fun and innocence. And then here you go. It crashes into the black train cars, and suddenly there's this blood-like blackish goo that comes dripping out and falls into a chasm, the abyss below. This is just, they don't put stuff like this into a crash scene in a movie that even itself recognizes the narrative is the plot. And the plot, when you got these people in charge, leads to death. Then you got 2, the airborne toxic event. After this, I don't know if there were any more numbers, but after this, it's sort of like this lays out the general plan of the plot. So, may the days be aimless again. May you be clueless. That's what they're hoping. Wow. That's just them hoping you'll believe this handler and destroy yourself voluntarily. That's the easy. It's so much easier to kill the future than it is to kill those who might snap out of it and say, wait a minute, family is my wealth. No. This is what they want. And this cloud of toxic fumes that comes off, they described it in so many different regards, where first it was just a toxic plume, but in cleaning it up, I found it really fascinating that they had to bring out the dudes with the Mylar hazmat suits. I want to show you the old style Geiger counters that they used to use. This is on the set of John Wayne's movie, The Conquerors. There was a United States general who had a famous quote that they hid. It said, "I hope we didn't kill John Wayne," because The Conquerors was filmed in exactly the area where they would test nuclear bombs. And shortly after that, not only he, but almost the whole crew died of cancer. And they, in order to pretend that the site was safe, they used these old box Geiger counters down here where my hard to see cursor is going back and forth. They used these old Geiger counters that they came in different types, but they had a handle. They were quite unwieldy. Now you could just hold one in your hand, but they would also have these little metal rods that would detect radioactive decay. And that's what these guys, as they come pummeling out to take care of that toxic plume, the chemical plume, they have old style Geiger counters like this. Oh, good. I did have a picture of the old style ones and of that. Okay. But the first dude comes out, he's got one. And then you see it again. And everyone who came out after that, they had the Geiger counters. That's for radiation. You don't use such equipment to detect pollution. So do not advance the action according to a plan. This is, again, instructions to each other on what to do. You don't want to be too obvious. Otherwise, the thing he said to the black female scientist who wasn't brilliant enough to know that her own natural hair is a heck of a lot healthier and far more beautiful and powerful than that flaxinated stuff. Do not advance the action according to a plan, because folks like me might be a giant plume, or, as they also like to call it, a black swan event. You can look that one up and find out that that is when something sees through an event, a person, whatever, their BS, and calls them out on it. Letting you know, black people, that these are not our friends. While inside, folks are kind of going on about this accident. It's like a shapeless growing thing, a dark, black, breathing thing of smoke. No, it's not smoke. It's just simply the truth. The truth coming at them. They're not calling it a feathery plume anymore. It's now a black, billowing cloud. Wow, that's real scientific. No, because it's not advancing the plot in any specific way that would make sense. It is a larger satanic narrative that will instruct those who do know, yo, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. So there, that's more accurate. They're coming to grips with the thing. It's good. That's what they hope. This is all about controlling black you and me. And it was interesting that just as he said that, the garbage disposal startled him right up out his seat. That's because they know. That's let's enjoy these aimless days a little longer. They're just trying to extend their reign. And it's over. It's over. When you kill oceans, you lose. And so the evacuation is getting started. They got to get out of there. And they're racing around the house, getting all their stuff. But isn't this interesting? Remember the occult? Mom has occult books up in the attic. And all of a sudden, you never hear a reference to that again. But they go and put a little, just pan over her occult books in the attic. What's that got to do with the story of the movie? Nothing. What's it got to do with you and me? Everything. Because right next to those occult books is this organ grinder monkey. This is where I say it's pivotal. Everything impinges on this. And I can't show you the moving, but he's clapping those little symbols together. And they're the witchcraft books. There's the Kim Kardashian. Prayer, hope and prayer, that they'll be able to avoid the abyss of the nothingness. They depend on this little organ grinder monkey to keep us, everybody, diverted, everybody beguiled, and sure that what the devil is peddling, his lies, makes sense. The history of the organ grinder monkey is 100% racist. The Fez, that was the Moors. And there's even a saying that they've roped whole movies around. Gary Oldman was in a movie called, I think, Mank. And that's also on Netflix, where it was all about the organ grinder. And the saying is, if you need to get the real work done, don't talk to the monkey. Talk to the organ grinder. And so that's what this is about. This is about them controlling us so we remain Afro-Saxons. We remain believing that these people are the arbiters of all that makes sense. And every single year with them, we are in greater depths of trouble than ever before. got just zoomed in a little bit more so that hopefully, well, I know you can see that big one, the occult. The other one is not of this world. And the other one down here I could read is witches and the witchcraft and something witches and witchcraft. That's what this is about. And here's the damnation that's coming no matter what. That big black storm cloud that had lightning striking all over it. And this was just the epic sad scene where they're all on the highway and they know the gig is up. The gig is up. So now the effects of the radiation, which that's the problem. This isn't just affecting Black House, even though I'm noticing that radiation as a beeline to the Black community at the same time, probably because I've been highlighting the fact that Oppenheimer came out and said we have to be able to poison the food enough to kill 1,000,000 men, because we know we're probably only gonna get half of those affected. So me talking about the CMOS, I don't know. I don't mind. It's not about me. It's about us. It's just for some reason, the Most High just put something in me that I wish in a way that he hadn't, because I really don't want to be the only one talking about this, examining this. But in talking about the CMOS, I wonder, are they now, because this isn't the first time that I've seen them peddle now seaweed to a primarily white audience. Finally, a melatonin alternative. I've been seeing where the white people are being told that the melatonin is really not good for them. I could have told them that, and I have been telling them that for a long time. They just don't have the wiring to handle that level of electrical connectivity. And so the melatonin, I remember I was talking about, Martina Big, that she's getting herself injected with melatonin. And I said, it's just going to cause a cancer sooner or later. Well, they say that these melatonin pills, that white people just be soaking them up because they are having increased nightmares. They're having group nightmares. That's the nothingness. In order to get to sleep, they're taking melatonin pills. And it's not good for them. And so now they have an alternative. Seaweed pill slashes the time it takes to fall asleep and takes effect within weeks. For what? Getting in your coffin? That must be some really potent seaweed. What they're doing is they're spreading out the effect. Because goodness knows they don't want a voice like mine to become that daggone credible. Where folks, I know you're noticing the die-off of so many Black celebrities. That means that there's an awful lot of common Black us also succumbing to the ravages of Fukushima fallout. I know there's other poisons in there, but if you haven't read what I've read, then you do not understand. The worst pollution, think of the worst pollution out there, and then times it by 1,000,000, and maybe you got close to radiation. Because, and it's coming up, I'm going to show you what's going on, but I'm just saying, they're coming for the white people. They always were, like with the federal government. They don't give a damn. And so here they're going over the effects of the Niodine D that's in that black cloud, right? Please. To outlive this substance, I'll have to make it into my 70s. That's what radiation does. That's why they're perfect poison, because you won't know where you were contaminated. However, if you can see that it's affecting Black us the most, along with all that sea life out there that the first die-off started with near Fukushima in the Pacific Ocean, then you're going to be able to map the route of that plot. And so he's been determined to have been contaminated by this substance. And so he's saying, I wouldn't worry about what I can't see, say, or feel. This is this real snarky, completely, he's like an actor, and he admits that he's not for real. But in this, he's like, the computers, what the computer's saying is real. What I'm sharing with you is real. But you said we have a situation. And he answers, I didn't. The computer did. But what the computer says is not a simulation. Despite that armband you're wearing, it is real. That's their Achilles heel. because even white people don't want to die. So here he's like, I could die in a plane crash and the iodine D would be thriving. Yes, that's radiation. Uranium-237 lasts for 450 billion years. You would need untold generations of your progeny, to die before it would die out. And he says that's my remains were laid to rest. The thing I've always feared. And now it's here. Because these dudes, when they were in the know, the ones who were in the know, they worshiped this stuff. That's why it's so secret, on pain of death. We are all aware there's no escape from death, no, from their damnation. You thought Hitler, and here's where Don Cheadle Murray comes in again, recommending violence. What? We, black you and me, we don't own none of them nuclear power plants, okay? So you thought Hitler would protect you. Some people are larger than life. Hitler is larger than death. No, the death is just death. Ain't nobody larger than death. I understand completely. And then he gives him a gun. He's telling him, go ahead, just protect yourself at this point. Just protect yourself. And there's a fire burning. So this is a ceremony right here. A sacrifice, an offering to Hitler. It's an itty-bitty thing, but it shoots real bullets. Right here is where they've turned a deadly weapon into Elvis. They've turned Hitler into Elvis at this moment. Like the radiation. It's itty-bitty. And I'm a gun supporter. I don't believe in gun control, but I do believe it must only be used for righteous self-protection, not for what is intended in this movie. Killers and dyers. Most of us are dyers. We don't have the dispositions, the rage, what it takes to be a killer. What? Are you actually trying to recommend this? Like, this is like, I'll run into people on social media who say, oh, you know, you're a punk if you don't go out, and start killing people? Are you crazy? No, that's not what you do. This is a war of the mind. Think how exciting it is in theory to kill a person. If he dies, you cannot. What? No, this is where they're using black us in order to stave off their own damnation. Kill him is to gain life credit. Who knows? Maybe violence is a form of rebirth. You gotta be real dumb to believe any of this nonsense. And maybe you can kill death. Or you gotta be desperate as hell. Then they just show, and they were running because they didn't know what to do. This is a precursor to the up and coming just evacuation. Everybody get out because the cloud, the black billowing cloud is coming near them. So it's pandemonium. And in the middle of everybody running everywhere, crashing, jumping, bumping into each other, Steffi lost her bun. What are you looking for when you are absolutely, completely panic-stricken? There's the little bun. What's bun? What's bun? A little rabbit. Easter. The Easter goddess. I forget what her name is, but the goddess of orgies. The goddess of absolute filth and debauchery. And this dude right here was the one who appeared in his dream with a scar on his hand, and here he is wearing some kind of pink daggone robe. Because there are no rules, it's Baphomet. He's whatever pops into your broken, terrified mind, we got an answer for it. Impulse behavior. No long-term thinking, just do whatever hits your head. And there he is, terrified, and he's going to take it. That's why they're shoving. You can't have a bigger distraction than Satan. And so there's a bigger Satan than him. And here he is where he took Maury's gun, found out that his wife, Baba, was having an affair with this dude. And there he is to kill him. And what does Satan, Super Satan, say to him? Why are you here, white man? You're very white. You know that? That is just simply the truth. That's an indictment to say, you ain't got no working melanin. You don't have that functional pineal gland that would let you know you need to fess up. You need to just do right. And he says, it's because I'm dying. It's because I'm scared. There'll be no excuse this time. And there's bunches of other stuff that happened after that, but I'm almost at the end. I can't believe it. At the end, he winds up shooting the devil, and the next day, they're back at their house, and everybody's smiling. I didn't capture a picture of Bobette smiling with her processed hair. That for some reason on her it's powerful, but on a black woman it's something that no, don't pay attention to her. Murray says that we are fragile creatures surrounded by hostile facts. Hostile facts? What facts are hostile? No, you aren't fragile. You're evil. If you think just telling the truth is pointedly against you, that's 'cause you're a liar. Liars are not defensible. Come on. I thought it was, and the families just got the same old white noise. They're acclimated now to the white noise that's all around them. And here they are. They're happy they're going to the supermarket, to the A&P. But out of some persistent sense of large-scale ruin, right? They just keep on going. We keep inventing hope. No, they just keep inventing the new lie, the new doublespeak. And this A&P is representative of hell. There they are. They start dancing to this song. It's a real good song. Sounded almost like it was Andre 6 Million doing this. Down escalator. Up, up, up. No, you ain't going up. Rise. If it's as above, so below. Where you going? No place. And there they are. All, once again, in the supermarket. It's all rainbow. It's all, notice the mix of people in the rainbow sections. This was important. Wizard records, because that's another way of them beguiling us. They've weaponized music. They had the witchcraft scene. There's no mention whatsoever of witchery again. That's because it's about this, and the music coming up is part of that. And so here the credits are rolling. Baumbach, his family name actually even has a crest for it. These families go back forever, and 6,000 years worth. Yeah, I need a new body. I need a new body. They wish, because they've burned this existence out. Because without Allah's permission, you ain't got jack. You ain't got icons. You ain't got beguilement. You don't have lips to beguile with, to wrap your mouth around new lies, new ways of fabricating chaos. It just won't happen. So I'm sick of talking about this. I'm just going to say, go watch it if you want to. I don't recommend it. I mean, in one way, it's brilliant, and in another way, it's pablum. But what I found really significant in a nutshell is that, they got everybody dancing around like you're going to dance and party in hell without any body. But they had all the black professors in the completely white section. This is how dangerous our collective blackness is when we use it with intelligence, without impulse thinking. That's what all the food is about, is to keep us addicted to their control. And so they even, not only are the black people the supposedly intelligent ones in the all white cheap section, but then in between them, as remember I said, no eye contact, they still had the two white professors. And at the very end, they had Andre dancing in the all white aisle because his role as a Pied Piper is absolutely integral in getting hell to look like a really cool place to go. And I'm not talking about him individually, but how they have shanghaied our music so it does what the devil wants it to do. Crazy, huh?
Thank you. If you made it all the way through that, I so appreciate you. And I ask you to support my endeavor to get that daggone spectrogram. I saw a breakdown from Princeton University where they say that it's cost a total of $350,000, almost $500,000, to get all the necessary equipment in order to test radioactive food. I know it's a whole lot cheaper than what they laid out there. They were like, you need a staff of 7 people, each one making $100,000 a year. Psh, I'll work for free for you, okay? If I can get that spectrogram, I will just put it out there for the whole world to know. Yes, this is more radioactive and this is less. In the meantime, I wrote the book with the cures that this is why they don't want us talking about radiation, because there are cures. I kept running in all my research one after the other, and I finally said I need to put this in a document for our family for forever. All right, so you'll find this on 25,000 Year Cycle along with my novels, which are outstanding. I mean, it is what it is. This Black is the first in the series, and This Black Nation is, I love this book. Oh, okay. Is the second. You can get them also as, and even furnished as downloadable ebooks. And I thank you, the brother who just recently did get the ebook and ordered a copy and a t-shirt. Thank you so much, brother. It was a joy to just send that off to you immediately. And speaking of sending stuff off immediately, I have streamlined my soaps so that you soon will be able to order them off of 25,000 Year Cycle. And I have stock made up ahead of time so that as orders come in, when it gets down to 10 bars left, I remake the stock again, and the packaging is really beautiful still, but it's not so labor intensive like it was, which I think is what drained me, so that I just was like, I can't do this, it's crazy. But this is very sane, and all my soaps are healing. I'll talk more about, especially the new one in Zinga. I love this. I just have to learn how to pronounce it the right way. Okay, I said all I need to say. Oh, mwah. I love you. Straight Black family pride, and we are forever. Peace and blessings, family.